migrants affiliated with Hamas have now crossed the English Channel into the UK.
Nobody in the country ever knows who these people are.
The government has given up.
Scary thing.
Welcome to Tactical Truths, the go-to series for military news, tactical analysis, and frontline stories that matter. Before we get started, I need your help. 73% of you who watch regularly haven't subscribed yet. If you like what we do, hit that subscribe button. It's free and helps us make this show better for you every single week. I'm Phil Campion, former UK SAS, and this is Tactical Truths. I make it no secret that I've worked alongside Hamas. All right, that's a strange thing to say, isn't it, right there? I have worked alongside Hamas. All right, I've documented it. I've podcast about it. You can probably see the link on here. Nonetheless, as close as I've got to them, I've never, ever treated them as friends. In fact, quite the opposite. On occasion, I've had to bring them in a little bit closer than normal so I could keep an eye on them properly, but that's as far as it goes. These men are extremely dangerous people. Their ideals are not the same as ours. In fact, they're completely the opposite of anything we are trying to achieve or aspire to be in this country. So far from the mark, it's not even measurable. However, Abu Wadee, a Palestinian influencer with links to Hamas, if not a member of Hamas himself, has come across here on a dinghy. Yes, that's right. Has been found floundering about in a dinghy and not just coming quietly, announcing his presence on social media to his 170,000 followers. Is this right? What's going on? Have the authorities got him yet? What's the full story behind this? Let's have the tactical truth out there, shall we? Come on, let's get involved.
Should be on high alert tonight because I can reveal that illegal migrants affiliated with Hamas have now crossed the English Channel into the UK. It comes as GB News exclusively revealed today that 1,900 illegal migrants have crossed the Channel since just last weekend.
So 1,900 illegal immigrants have come across the Channel in the last week or so, right? It's shattering all records. They're coming over at an alarming rate. And even more alarmingly, some of these people are from Palestine and lots of them have links to Hamas.
All previous records for the number of arrivals this point in any year since the crisis began in 2016.
They look like a happy bunch on there, don't they? They look smiley happy. Don't see many people who would probably require any assistance on there. They all look like fighting age males to me. Am I right? Am I wrong? Are they fighting age males? They're looking pretty good, Nick. I mean, someone's got a phone that works. How come none of them managed to find the 32 quid to get on an EasyJet to come over here? Where's all their paperwork? What's going on? Unbelievable, isn't it? Roughly translated, thank God we've arrived. I bet.
There they are, arriving in Dover today with the border force.
So Border Force in the background, quite happy to bring them on board. Exactly, Border Force, board us force, board us force. There you go. Please come aboard. No, Border Force is there to protect us, surely. Border Force is there to stop people coming in that we don't want here. Surely, please, tell me that. Go on, tell me I'm right. Go on. Okay, right, let's carry on.
Force taxi service picking them up. Today was the 8th straight day.
There you go, GB News have cracked that one, didn't they? A taxi service. Just in case you didn't make it quite safely enough, we'll make sure you do the rest of the bit in the comfort of our nice boat.
Of small boat crossings. So much, I guess, for Smash the Gangs. But buried amongst the staggering numbers is a more dark and sinister development, because it appears that Palestinians linked with Hamas, the butchers of October the 7th, are now crossing the English Channel to England on small boats.
So this is Abu Wadee here. This is Abu Wadee. He's obviously found the means to go live because Why wouldn't you when you've got an audience of 170,000 people? And he's promoting whatever he's promoting on this little boat, waiting to get off onto a bigger boat and start a new life here, causing mayhem. And I'm going to say, is there any chance of him not causing mayhem over here? Let me know what you think in the comments below. But this man here has got links at the very top of Hamas, reportedly, and he's shown off about it himself. There's pictures of him with weapons. It's rumoured he's behind the recent horrific attacks in that area, okay? He's not the sort of person we really want coming over here. And he's the one we know about. You can guarantee, a pound to a pinch of shit, there'll be people on that boat who he knows, and knows well, who've got profiles that we don't know about, who'll be coming over here to do stuff that we don't want them to do. Can we guarantee that? We probably can, can't we? They all look pretty well fed to me, I'm going to say. They don't look like they've just come out of a war-torn country. They don't look like they're struggling in life. And they certainly don't look like they couldn't have stopped at the first country they got to and got some aid from there. Surely that's what they're meant to do, isn't it? Is it? I don't know. You tell me. Why are they making such an effort to come here? Why would you come across 4 or 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, even 10 more countries than you need to once you're safe? Because if they're doing what they're saying they're doing, escaping wherever it is in Palestine they've come from, well, surely you're safe in the first place you get to. Why'd you have to come all the way here?
So that guy there is accused of being a member of a Hamas-endorsed unit involved in serious violence on the Gaza-Israel border who wants to, quote, die for the sake of Allah.
So Abu Wadee wants to die for the sake of Allah. Well, that's fine. You do that, my friend, but don't do it around here. You go and do that wherever you want to do. Go home and do that. In fact, surely you were trying to escape from where you were, so you didn't die. So why would you be so happy to die? It doesn't make sense to me unless you're up to something you shouldn't be. Am I being out of order here? I don't think so. I don't think so, anyway.
According to the Campaign Against Anti-Semitism, his name is Abu Wadee, and he has a TikTok account with tens of thousands of followers where...
Good old TikTok. Good old TikTok. In you go. There you go. I think we can throw up a picture of his TikTok account. There you go. 170,000 followers he's got.
He's been documenting his journey to Britain.
Documenting his journey to Britain. Not only he's taking the mickey. He's taking the mickey. Documenting my journey to Britain. So does this mean you weren't looking for sanctuary in the first safe country you came across? Well, of course it does, because you're documenting the whole thing all the way over here, aren't you? It's an absolute crock, isn't it?
This is him in a Calais camp on Monday, just this week, or Tuesday perhaps, waiting for smugglers to launch him across the channel.
Assalamu alaikum. Waiting for the smugglers. Look, sat around a campfire, waiting for smugglers to bring him over. Openly putting that stuff on the internet. They don't give a damn, do they? He certainly don't. Our friend Abu. They even put the whole video to music. Oh. See, the French were keen to round them up, weren't they? See, the French were on the look for them because I bet there was no smoke coming off that fire, was there? You wouldn't have been able to see that for a mile off. No. What we'll do is we'll wait for the smugglers to pick them up and they'll shunt them over there. And then they're not our problem anymore, are they? Well done, the French. Thanks.
And this is him preparing to leave France on what we believe is Wednesday.
Here we go. So not only have they got him at the campfire, here's another chance they could have actually picked him up, swooped on him, stopped him from doing what he was doing. No effort here, is there? None at all. This is next level. He looks so emaciated through his hideous ordeal. Absolutely, it's just, when are people going to wait? Is this the Emperor's clothes, is it? Is this the sort of like, what's happening here? Come on, someone tell me. Comments below only, please. Please, we'll leave it open. We'll let you have your say. If I'm being wrong, let me know, please.
We understand Abu Wadee is now, tonight, in the UK. We don't know where he is, but if you...
We don't know where he is. Oh, well, that's a good move, isn't it? Someone who should have probably, if he really needed it, sought sanctuary in the first safe place he got to. Someone who quite obviously is a fit, young, fighting-age male with ideals that have got nothing to do with the ideals that we've got. Well, where is he? I don't know. It's good enough, isn't it?
If you want an idea of what this guy is about, the Campaign Against Anti-Semitism have been doing some important digging.
Right, so the Campaign Against Anti-Semitism, who he has targeted in particular, and I can quote here as him saying he wanted to slaughter all Jews, all right? Quite pleasant in itself, isn't it? But they've done some digging on him. So let's have a butcher's at what they turfed up.
This is him previously taking to TikTok to rip up an Israeli flag.
There you go. Here he is, ranting and raving and ripping up Israeli flags. Again, not required, is it? Do we really want that over here? Do we? Is that what we want? Bit extreme, but then again, I think he is an extremist.
And this is him taking to the microphone in Gaza, railing against Jews, saying his loftiest ambition was to die for Allah.
Right, so again, he's been pictured here. This is from his TikTok account. Rallying the cause, saying he wants to die for Allah, and generally making a menace of himself. They look like a crowd that would be open to a decent discussion and possibly some amicable relationship forming. Not. There he is, look, behind the banner. There he is, there he is. Just, where is he? I don't know.
So the CAA will share with us the full shocking details from 10 p.m. about this guy, so stay tuned for that. But Abu Wadee has also been pictured at a conference addressed by the now-deceased leader of Hamas, Yahya Sinwar.
So he was also seen with the leader of Hamas at a conference.
The primary mastermind behind the October 7th slaughters.
And this was the guy that was the mastermind behind the slaughters in the recent slaughters. You know the ones I'm on about. The whole thing disgusts me, I'm going to tell you.
So I'm asking, how many more members of Hamas, ISIS or any other bloodthirsty terror group are now roaming our streets and being put up in taxpayer-funded hotels? We've asked the Home Office tonight whether they're aware of where Abu Wadee is. They said in a statement, we're committed...
Yeah, this is what the Home Office said about this whole thing, because they have been approached. I mean, various news outlets have approached them. We are committed to ending small boat crossings which undermine our border security and restoring order to the asylum system to ensure that the rules are respected and enforced. While it is long-standing rule that we never comment on individual cases or operational matters, the British public can be reassured that we take all steps necessary at all times to protect the nation's security. And that means our border force, fail. There's a fail, isn't it? Come on, so that whole statement's a fail, isn't it? It is a fail. You have failed. We know he is here somewhere. He's actually published it himself. I'm here. This is what he actually told us he was coming, and he's still here. That's a fail, isn't it? That's a Fred. Just think about, put yourself back a few years, Phil, and imagine if you was presenting on your NCO's card, and you said this was going to happen, that was going to happen, and this was going to happen, and none of it did. That's a fail. That's a fail, isn't it?
To ending small boat crossings which undermine our border security and restoring order to the asylum system to ensure that the rules...
The annoying thing is, I highlighted this a very long time ago and was shot down in flames by the likes of Channel 4, the BBC and Sky News. Oh, no, that's not happening. Oh, no, it couldn't happen. No, you can't do that. Yes, you can. Yes, I did. And they know that now.
...are respected and enforced. While it's a long-standing rule that we never comment on individual cases or operational matters, the British public can be reassured that we take all steps necessary at all times to protect the nation's security. The fact is that this man is in Britain, and that fact alone should warrant the small boats invasion being classed as a national security emergency. So,
I think that's where we're at. You know, we know that this guy and several of his ilk now are in this country. All right, they're here in the UK. That alone should warrant for an absolute closure on what is going on. An absolute no, we are not doing that anymore. You know, okay, and if you come over, you will be detained and taken straight back or shipped off to wherever, but you ain't staying here, you're not coming. You know, if there are some really needy ones, you know, people with genuine tales of woe that need harbouring, then I can see, yes, well, maybe perhaps, you know, you can be, a case can be set aside. But just coming over on a boat, disappearing into the Ulu and going, can't happen anymore. It's got to stop. It's undermining our national security. Okay, just think about that. It is undermining our national security. Terrible, isn't it?
I say tonight, so Keir Starmer, the Prime Minister, over to you. To reveal more of this tonight, I'm joined by GB News' very own Homeland Security Editor, Mark White. Mark, thank you for your company tonight. You are, of course, on the pulse of this story day in, day out. You exclusively revealed the shocking figures tonight. What can you tell us about, A, these figures, a record since 2016, and following that, this guy who's apparently linked to Hamas?
Well, the figures are unprecedented, there's no doubt. An 8th straight day today of arrivals in the Channel, which for this time of the year, when conditions out in the Channel are normally pretty horrific, it is, as I said.
He bears a good point there as well, right? You are not, you know, the Channel's not a great place to be at this time of year, is it? It's horrendous, all right? So just surviving that journey alone puts you in a category where, to me, you need to be fit, able and healthy, all right? What are we getting? Fighting age males. That's what we're getting. That's the reality of what's in those boats. Did you see any women and children? Did you see people that were desperate to get it? Did you see malnourished, underfed people that couldn't even stand up, that were so exhausted by their treacherous ordeal? No, you didn't. You saw people grinning into their mobile phones, taking the mickey in the knowing that even if they get scooped up, they'll probably get put in a hotel and handed benefits. It's wrong. Wrong. And that's a double wrong.
Say very unusual indeed. We've had conditions which have either been a bit better or borderline, and even when conditions aren't great, the people smugglers are still pushing these boats out.
They got to go after the people smugglers. They got to go after the people that are letting them out of France. Yes, think about that. Who is letting them out of France? France.
Into the Channel, and what that's meant is that actually for the year so far we're now pushing 4,000, which is higher than at any point since this crisis began in 2016. And you alluded to some of the real concerns that people have.
I mean, we could scoop them up and drop them off at Ben Gurion Airport, because that's probably the closest airport we can get them into Palestine. Don't think they'd be so keen for that, would they?
Around security there, and they're right to be concerned, because many of those that come across the Channel are instructed by the people smugglers and even some of the NGOs, the charities that are out there as well, to throw their documentation.
NGOs and charities telling people to throw their documentation into the Oggin to avoid capture at the other side. Is that right? Come on. It's the Emperor's clothes, isn't it? We can all see it. We're all thinking it. Surely, please don't let me say I'm the only one here.
A way to come up with a backstory that makes their case all that bit more powerful in terms of trying to persuade the authorities.
It's like you're plotting. It's like you're actually sort of like, it's like you haven't turned up with a genuine story. You haven't got a genuine excuse, but let's make one up. Let's have the NGOs and the charities help us and see what we can manufacture here, so that we get the full treatment, we get the car, we get the blue badge, we get the whole suite, the lot. We'll have some pip on top of everything else we get. And whilst we're waiting for all that, we'll sit in a nice hotel while homeless veterans wallow in doorways and look across at us, scoffing our heads off in our plush hotels. Really?
Here in the UK, that they should get asylum. But a consequence of throwing your identity away means that in many instances, the authorities have absolutely no idea who these people are.
If you've got no idea who somebody is because they've got no documentation and you're a fighting age male and you look to be okay, you can't just let someone like that into the system, can you? You've got to either prove who you were or you've got to go somewhere else or you need to be detained.
Occasionally, of course, if they enter international criminal databases, their details can be there, but if they're not on those databases, then we simply don't know. And we know in this country, as we're seeing in Germany and France and elsewhere in Europe, that those coming from overseas, particularly asylum seekers, there are a number of those, and it can only be a small number, but can still have deadly consequences, who turn to violent extremism.
Yeah, you only need one, Mark, whether it's 40,000 a year or 20,000, you only need one of those people to turn to extremism and violent extremism for it to become a problem. We saw the extraordinary footage of today, that boat rocking up to Dover, or just off Dover, accompanied by Border Force. We knew this was happening anyway, that they act as almost, I mean, they've been accused of being a taxi service, but just explain really what Border Force, their role is. When do they pick up migrants and where do they take them back to? Here we are, this is the image here.
Well, any time, really, that there is a small boat in the channel that crosses to UK waters, they will be intercepted by Border Force. If all the Border Force vessels are tied up, then the RNLI lifeboats will be called in to assist. And the reason for that is simple, because these boats are unseaworthy. They've got into difficulties in the past. We've seen that just today. Another migrant died in the channel and another fell overboard. 6 or 7 at least who've died so far this year. It was more than 70 last year. So under obviously international rules of the sea, the UK is obliged to go to intercept them, to pick them up. I feel a bit for Border Force and for the RNLI. They are just doing their job. At the end of the day,
He has got a point that, for seafaring people, you don't want to leave anybody bobbing about. You've heard it in some quarters. Oh yeah, just you can't send them back out to sea. You have to do something with them. But my point here is, all right, yeah, scoop them up, bring them ashore if you have to. But then that's as far as it goes. They're either sent back or they're locked up. And if they fall into the category of having no ID, what do we just take a punt on you? How can that work? You can't afford, when it's a threat to national security, to have anybody just pitching up and doing their own thing.
Any decision on a tougher policy, a decision on turning back, for instance, the migrants, picking them up, landing them back in France, or enacting a deterrent to ensure that anyone who arrives here illegally doesn't get to stay in the UK and get sent off to.
I mean, it's been suggested to me that to stop this from happening really on a scale where it's not going to happen ever again, you need to make the UK not so much of an attractive option in the first place. And then people won't want to come here. But at the moment, they get given absolutely everything. They're welcomed in with open arms no matter how they turn up. It's an absolute haven for anybody to just come and ply whatever they want to ply. That needs to change. We need to make it quite clear to people that unless you are 100% here because you had nowhere else to go and you needed saving, you won't be staying here. Or if you do, you won't be getting out of a compound. Because unless we make it an unattractive option, it's just going to keep happening. And what we're seeing here is it is happening. A record level. 1,900 people crossing this year so far. What are you going to do about it, Keir?
To a third country. The previous government, of course, had Rwanda in mind. That is for the politicians to decide on that approach. It's not for border.
Rwanda didn't go down too well, did it? And again, it's been suggested that could well be the end of the problem. You wouldn't want to come here just to be put on a plane and sent to Rwanda. Then you won't want to come here. And then you won't come here. And then you're not putting our RNLI at risk by having to go out in choppy seas to rescue people. Border Force won't have to do the same. Win-win.
Border Force or the RNLI, they've got to do the job that they're tasked with at the end of the day. But as I see it, 8 months in now to this Labour government, with this smash the gangs policy of Sir Keir Starmer.
8 months in, Labour government, saying they're going to smash the gangs have smashed nothing. It's got worse.
I think it's in deep crisis, looking at unprecedented numbers who are crossing the channel so far this year. We are on course to surpass easily the 36,800 who crossed the English Channel last year. That law and order approach alone doesn't seem to be working.
36,800 came over last year, and we're already on course to beat that. Let that sink in. That's a lot of people, a lot of people. And even if only 1% of that was subversive to the ways of this country, it still needs to be weeded out. You can't have any subversion being brought in any guise whatsoever.
And there are many out there with intimate knowledge of maritime security who say we need a deterrent like the Rwanda scheme, the scheme that was scrapped on Sir Keir Starmer's first day in office.
OK, Mark White, thank you for that update. And GB News is ahead of the game on the numbers because Mark White's on the ball. We also have a spotter down at Dover day in, day out, counting the number of boats coming in. So tomorrow, you'll see the rest of the mainstream media, the broadcasters, picking up on the numbers. We are 24 hours ahead. Always. Let's get the thoughts of my panel now. Journalist and communications advisor Linda Jubilee, the anarchist and academic Dr. Lisa McKenzie, and the media strategist Andy Twelves. Good evening, panel.
Good evening.
Welcome along. Happy weekend.
Yep.
Lisa, your thoughts on this? I mean, first of all, the 1900 is shocking, but for me, the even more staggering revelation today is this guy who, maybe he's not a fully fledged member of Hamas, he's at least, we can say, heavily linked and affiliated to Hamas.
I think there's sort of 3 points to this. It's the numbers, because that's a lot of people that we have to support. And where are they going? More and more hotels are now being turned into refugee hotels. Local communities become very worried about that, and I think that's one of the issues. The second issue is obviously security. Who are they? And how come there's so many sort of TikTokers now? This is the second one who's had like hundreds of thousands of followers. Remember Madapasa?
He's got Madapasa.
Yeah. Do you remember?
Whatever happened to him? He's got more followers than me. Well, I don't have TikTok, but he's got Andy more followers than most of us sat here on this panel. This guy coming over today or this week, 150,000 people follow him on TikTok. You're not too concerned, though, are you?
Well, I think I trust the UK intelligence sharing agreement with Israel. I'm sure that the military intelligence services would be aware if an actual member of Hamas was coming to our shores. But as far as I'm aware, there's not actually any evidence he's a member of Hamas.
Well, the campaign for anti-Semitism says that he's heavily affiliated with Hamas.
I don't know what their evidence was. I mean, I read it earlier.
What, the evidence of somebody stood there shouting, bleating and siding with people that are ripping flags up and just generally gobbing off and promising this, really, who's this geezer? Shut up. He's part of the problem.
Aren't you worried, though?
Well, you saw the videos.
I saw that, yeah. I mean, he, threw an Israel flag in the bin, he ripped it up, but he also does regular...
He was also on the mic in
He does it regularly. Oh, well, that's OK,
Gaza, then. Railing against...
Right, good. He's gone. I can't be dealing with that. How can you defend that in any way, shape or form? And he was 2 steps away from defending that, and I'm not having any of that. Right, OK. Listen, alarming that people whose values and standards are aligned with people whose values and standards are completely topsy-turvy in a completely different hemisphere as ours, a different galaxy to ours even, are coming over here. They get here. They actually film themselves getting here, all right? We need to do something about it. I'm just going to leave it there. We need to do something about it. So whoever the powers that be, do something about it. If not, we could be in a world of hurt.